Hi guys, I'm Dr. Veena Dwivedi, HOD in School of Social Sciences, Jaipur National University. Today I am going to teach you about the social work meaning, definitions, objectives, its linkages with other sciences. First, I will talk with you the social work meaning and concept. Social work meaning is equality, social justice, development and role of social work in this context of poverty alleviation, globalization, mitigation, human rights and climate. While social work practice is always situated increasingly, there is derived towards the profession with any example of exchange expertise the cross out nations boundaries. Much of this arises the political, social, economic crisis such as rise to transitional migration of people. Social work change and continues to evolve to meet the local as well as the global demand. The meaning of social work as we can define, understand the social work aspiration to promote social justice and human rights. The global definitions of social work profession adopted by the International Federation of the Social Work and the International Association School of Social Work. Social work is the practice-based profession as an academic discipline and promotes social change and social development, social cohesion and the empowerment and liberation of the people. The main principle of social justice, human rights, collaborative responsibility and respect for the diversity are the center focus of the social work. When we are talking about the definition of social work, so social work definition is helping the people so that they can help themselves to find out the scientific solution and the treatment of the social and individual problem. First, they are creating those conditions for the people and make satisfied way the possible. Second, development within the individual as well as the community. According to Ederson 1943, social work is the professional service rendered to the people, the purpose of the assisting them and individual or in the group and attain satisfied relationship with the standard of the life, particularly wishes and capacity and in harmony with those of the community. According to the Murthy and Rao, he gave this definition in 1970. Social work is help rendered to any person or group which is suffering from any disability, mental, physical, emotional and moral. Social work is the profession which remove the social, emotional, psychological, educational, political and environmental problem. He is any social worker dealing with the in three ways and different kind of people. First, he is dealing with individually, second is with group and third is in community problem. Now I will talk about what are the objectives of social work. Social work objectives are many. There are many objectives of social work. First objective is to help people to make such use of own capacity and of environment resources as well as which result in personally satisfaction and the adjustment. To help the modification of the environment so that people will have few personal and social problem. According to the Professor Friedlander, social work seeks to assist individuals, group and community to reach the highest possible degree of the social, mental, physical well-being. The few emerging objectives of the social work are the material security, emotion security, social achievement and spiritual power. there are many generic social work principles also, such as to solve psychosocial problem of the people, to fulfill humanitarian need, to solve address mental problem, to create self-sufficient, to making harmonious social relationship, and to develop democratic values, to provide opportunity and development and social problem, to provide the people. Social legal act change the environment in the favor of individual growth and development, and also bring in change in social system and social development. There are also few key principles of the social work, that is structural change through social and political action. Social worker in such context has been working to eradicate poverty and promote health and education. This practice has gained further with launch the Millennium Development Goals, which is accepted by the United Nations in 2000. Sustainable Development Goal adopted by UN in 2015, and both are very essential for the social services. Principles, the main principle of sustainable development goal is to eradicate the poverty and many social problems. Participation, self-reliance, sustainability and empowerment are the key principles of the social work. Social worker also seek to involve other stakeholders, including civil society and community organization too. The worker, the employers, the consumer, the community and the nation suffer in more than one way. Now I will talk the few points about the social action and the advocacy. Social action means when any social worker, they deals with the advocacy point and they want to change the government policy, then such as, and also deal with the some social problem which is the global problem, such as trafficking problem, women and children related problem, informal education of the street children and the people living in HIV AIDS. These are the global problem in which any social worker are dealing. He is dealing with risk and vulnerability of the marginalized people. Globally, the practice of social work has been greatly influenced by the challenges and under the development, lack of human rights, and detrimental effect of the globalization. And many social problems such as street children problem, human trafficking, disaster relief and humanitarian aids, food shortage, climate change and existing emerging forced migration like refugees crisis. So in this kind of problem, which the major platform for the social worker in which he is solving the problem of the people through making the various kind of objective and strategy. The social problem and conditions arising out the globalization create significance area, international responsibility and demand of the extended knowledge. Understand the social work profession. Social work has seen effect of globalization on social issue, social worker to responsive, knowledgeable in addressing them. Now I will talk the latest and recent definition of social work. This definitions is given in 2013. This definition incorporates certain core theme and define international social work as the promotion of social work education and practice globally and locally with the purpose of building the truly integrated international profession reflects social work capacity to respond appropriately and efficiently in education practice term to the various global challenges that are having the significant impact of the well-being of the large section of the world population. This global and local promotion of social work, education and practice is based on integrated perspective approach that synthesize global human rights, ecology, social development perspective of the international situation, respond to them. In another word, we can say various causes of the vulnerable and marginalized with the aim of promoting social justice, equality, human rights, global context. It further acknowledges the inequality, injustice under the development. This is the major concern of social worker and social work. Today, we are talking about the integrative perspective of the social approach to practice, because social worker nowadays working on the feminist social perspective, integrated social perspective and radical social perspective, synthesis of the global rights, ecology, social development perspective, individual and collective well-being. The social work education and practice at the global and local level, link between education international practice. It is the major element in decades-long commitment to focus worldwide attention of four themes. First is promoting the social and economic equality, promoting the dignity and the worth of the people, working toward environment and community sustainability, strengthening, recognize the importance of human relationship. Nowadays, along with all the point today I discussed with you, so we can say in brief, what is the social work profession? Because social work and social work profession both are included with each other. So now I will talk with you, dear. Social work profession worldwide has been increasingly influenced by the globalization, and it began to recognize the impact of globalization on almost every problem, and social work practitioners deal with social worker are fluently called upon the deal with global social problem like refugees problem, street children problem, alcohol, substance abuse problem, HIV AIDS, as I discussed earlier too. And for that, social worker use diverse approaches and ranging the culturally sensitize the cross-culture practice and advocacy and campaign to work with refugees, diverse contexts such as humanitarian setting, social development and human rights organization. Collaborating, working, if I will discuss you, so this is I mentioned already in this chart, so you can see this. Global, now I will talk about the what is the profession, why social work is called the profession. Social work profession because it is changing the make it change in society and involving in social development, stop the social cohesion, empowering the people and liberation of the people. So this is social worker main focus of working, so that it is called the profession. Social work practice as a profession. Why we are in any profession, people are doing some practice. So in social work also, social worker doing some practice, and through this practice he is solving the client problem. Social work is the practice, profession and academic discipline that recognize interconnection, historical, social, economic, culturally, politically and personal factors serve as opportunity and barriers to human well-being development. Structure barriers contribute to the inequality, avoid the inequality, discrimination, exploitation and oppression. The development of critical consciousness through reflecting the structural operation and privilege on the basis of criteria such as race, class, language, religion, gender, disability, culture, sexual orientation, and developing action strategy toward the addressing the structure and personal barriers. And another point is social change mandate the based on the premises and social work interventions take place. When the current situation with this level of persons, family, small group, community and the society, it is driven by the need of the challenges and change the structure conditions and contribute the marginalization, social exclusion, operations, social change initiative, recognize the place of human agency in advancing human rights and economic, environment and social justice. The profession is equally committed to the maintenance of the social stability, and such stability is not used, marginalized, excluded and oppressed in particular group of the person. And now I will talk the social development. Social development meaning the strategy for intervening desire the state and policy framework. The latter addition more population, because it based on the holistic bio psychosocial spiritual assessment and interventions of the transacts the macro divided, intercorporating multiple system level and intersectoral interprofessional collaboration aimed to sustainable development. And now I will talk few points of the principle of the social work. What are the principle of the social work on which base we are working for the community? The overcharging principle of the social work is the respect to the inherent worth, dignity and human being, doing the harm, respect and diversity, uploading human rights and social justice. Second one, he is advocating and uploading human rights and social justice and motivated for the justification of the social work. The social work profession recognize human rights need and collective responsibility, working for the collective responsibility, because many problem in which you cannot work alone. You have to plan collectively, be a collect, and then you can solve that problem. The ideas of collective responsibility highlight the reality that individual human rights can be realized the day-to-day basis and people responsibility to each other and environment. The importance of creating reciprocal relationship. Reciprocal relationship means ki whatever we are giving to society, so we are getting the same response with society. So this is called the reciprocal relationship. Within the community, there is the major focus of social work to advocate the right of the people at all level. In brief, social work embrace first, second and third generation right. First generation right means refer to civil and political rights such as free speech, consciousness, freedom for torture and other things. Second generation social, economic, cultural rights include the rights of the reasonable level of education, healthcare, housing and minority language problem. The third generation rights focus on the natural world and the rights of the species, biodiversity and intergenerational equity. These rights are mutually reinforcing the interdependent and accommodate both individual and collective rights. In some instance, doing no harm and respect for diversity. Point of the social work. Minority groups such as he or she is working with minorities group such as women, homosexuality, are violated. Now, guys, I will talk about the functions of the social work. There are few functions which is operated by the any social work individually, in group and society. There are four broad functions of the social work. First is curative functions, second is correctional functions, third is preventive functions, and four is developmental functions. In recently, any social worker, he is working on the developmental function. He is involving in each and every event which is associated with developmental functions. Now I will talk about the types of social work. As I mentioned in my earlier paper, always social worker, he is working in different field, not only in village and slums area, but the social work field is very much broad social work field. Like he can work in school, he can work in hospital, in mental health clinics, he can work with senior citizens. Elective officials work, like he is also working in industry, and he is also working with CSR field, which is direct associated with any factory and associated with social responsibility for any factory. So he is also working there. So this is the, and a social worker also work with in private sector. He can start their private as a private practitioner practice, like in abroad country, like any advocate and any medical officer, any doctor, he can start their own clinic as a social worker. So, but in India this is not started till now. But in social worker in India, many places social worker is working as a consultant and provide advisor and providing many the type of advising them to make the strategy, to make the project proposal. So there are various kind of and multi work done by the any social worker. He is also working in prison and also working in military area too, corporate sector, and many others numerous public and private agency where social work is working. Some social worker help client to face disability and life threatening disease or the social problem such as inadequate housing, unemployment, or substance abuse. Social worker also assist family that serious domestic conflict like child or spousal abuse, because many child, they have many different kind of problem. So social worker also working there to deal with their problem. First he is suggesting the family member ki how to bring their children उस प्रॉब्लम से कैसे वो मुक्त हो सकता है. एंड सेकेंड वन, social worker conduct research, advocate, improve the services, engage in system design, and are involved planning and policy development too. He is also involved in advocacy level, because in top level government is making the policy for the because in India government in 1951 government after independent government of India declare India as a welfare state. So in many department open for the welfare of the people in different way, like for the welfare of the children, for the welfare of the disability, for the welfare of the women who are in crisis, and when she is pregnant, when she is lactating. So government of India providing many services through various agencies, just like ICDS project, Integrated Child Development Schemes, and they are also working. If any program is not run by any agency in proper way, there is some lacunas. That time social worker helping the people, and he is helping the people. First he is involving the people in advocacy, and advocacy means he is conducting the collecting the facts, figures, and his included many peoples. Those are who are involved in that particular problem. So he is collecting the people and doing advocacy for the rights of the individual and community, with the goal of achieving the social justice. The community organizing and the advocacy work with power of number of many people thinking, working and acting together to wealthy and powerful group, and the mean they have protect, extend themselves. Historically, community organizing and social work responds to many forces and creating inequality in our society. They remain as necessary and effective as over today. And third one, social worker also working with aging people, because in aging people there are a lot of physical, psychosocial and social and economic problem. So that time social worker role to help them and maintain their dignity, because most of the aging people they have a whole family in their family, but no one talking with them, and he has lot of emotional problem and lot of mental problem. So in abroad they have a lot of institutions, they are working for this kind of people, and many aging people they become in tension due to the in same family he is living or she is living, but no one is talking with them and no one is understanding their problem. they thinking कि अब वो बूढ़ा हो गया है तो उसको क्या जरूरत है, उसकी कोई भी इच्छा नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. तो that time because every person have same attitude, same dignity, so we are not providing focus on the aging people. So that time social worker role to work with aging people for their all kind of problem, as I mentioned earlier. Child welfare, social worker also working in the field of child welfare, because and in a holistic approach of an integrated approach of child welfare. Like child welfare, social workers serve some of the most vulnerable child, youth and family. Social worker specialize the building on the strength of the family, helping them providing safe and nurturing environment for the children and youth, intervene to protect the child from harm, and also he is working for child welfare as a social worker, ensure the children and youth who are experience abuse and neglected support through range of the service. Because nowadays daily you are reading in newspaper कि many child they abuses by the adult people. So child have lot of problem, and they have no rights, and they cannot share their problem with their parents too. So in this way social worker role is very crucial in this way, and social welfare service where and many social welfare service like ICDS project. This is totally associated with social welfare services where any social worker can work. And fourth one is developmental disability, because there is a lot of disabled people in India, and they cannot cope with their family, and although there are a lot of institutions in India and for the disability, for the mental disability, physical disability, and the other kind of disability. So as a social worker, any social worker, he start their work to stop this kind of disability since childhood, because in childhood this disability, sometimes this disability started in childhood, and when any in pregnancy period, when any child is in pregnancy period, this is starting. And second one is in school, through school social work, he is trying to stop this kind of disability. And healthcare services also the part of social work. In 19th century, and social work deal with personal and social factor that affect the health and wellness. Some healthcare social workers are direct service concentration on the individual, family, and a small group. Other work in the setting where the focus on planning, administration, and policy. This level also social worker are working, and social worker may conduct the research, develop program, administer social work and other department. So we can say कि social, in brief we can say social work involved in curative, preventive health, physical and mental and psychological health. International social work also very important for us, because we are not working in a local level, but we are working in national and international level. In the function of social work in international development are diverse. They include direct services in community, refugees camps, orphans, hospital, and schools to enhance the social well-being. We are also, as a social worker, we are also working in justice and correctional level. Like we are social worker making change in the any person who are unorganized in community, just like जो चोर उचक्के जिन्होंने चोरी की है, तो सोशल वर्कर कभी ये नहीं सोचता है कि वो चोर है. ही इज ऑलवेज थिंकिंग कि in some situation he did this kind of offense, so he is always treating that person as a human being. Social work who work in justice and correctional can be found in court, rape crisis center, police department, and correctional facilities. So he is working there for the solving the problem of this kind of offense too. Mental health and clinical social work also very crucial part of social worker, where social work is working. He is working in the urban and rural setting to eradicate the mental health problem, because any mental health problem is not initiate just, because this is taking time, and after any person they become the mentally ill. So he is intervening in the first steps when this problem is starting. So that time social work is intervening their interventions. And also the third next one is he is also working for the many people who is using any kind of substance, like his smoking, his taking any kind of things, who is very harmful for that people as well as for their family, like alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. So he is involving that people on case management, group and individual therapy, family counseling, and advocacy for job, housing need, community resources development, education, and policy making. social worker also working in occupational health area, like in industry there are lot of educational health point and issues. So he is working on the structure and method to improve efficiently, creative, productively and moral way, and counseling the people through various kind of individual. He is also forming the union for the people who can fight with factory leader, factory owners and many peoples. Social work, as I also earlier discussed with you people, कि social worker also making the policy, assisting government in making the policy and program in grassroots level to top root level. He is making, he is assisting the people to make the policy and program for those people who have some social problem. So he is studying this kind of problem, assessing the need of the people, relating issues, conduct research for this purpose, and suggesting them for some social legislation which are the useful for them, that people. And social work also working in political level. Political level he is working as a activism to leadership. Increasingly social work holding elective office or school board and city and country government, from state legislative all the way of the US House of Representatives and the Senate's. Social worker also play leadership role in local, state and federal agency. Now I will talk about the social work role in public sector. So in public sector also he is creating thinking leadership from professional social worker. And in research area he is conducting various kind of research for the people. And school social work also part of the social work interventions. He is working for the treating the emotional development and those people who are very big in education. So he is providing the proper knowledge to how these children can cope with this problem. So preschool education, he is also working in multiple spaces, and major role of social worker is working with individual, working with community and working with group. So in 3 level this is the major role of the social worker. So student, now you can understand the whatever today I teach you, and I will ask the question tomorrow with all of you, and I am also providing you my PowerPoint presentation. Thank you very much for listening.